going on, veterans, military service members, transitioning service members? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Veterans Claim Servants Podcast, better known as the Off the Battlefield Podcast, where we talk about education, resources, benefits that you, the veteran, deserve due to your time in service to this country. And today I'm super stoked because I have a brother, a fellow veteran, Navy veteran, with us today. And we are going to be talking about transition. We're going to be talking about kind of time getting in the way of our disability benefits and just things that we believe as veterans are, do I really deserve those benefits? Am I taken away from somebody? Do you really think I can get the benefits that, you think I can get that because I got 20 plus years in Chad's situation of time and space in between when I got out to now to current. So we're going to talk and we're going to kind of tackle those issues and questions head on. But without further ado, if you're tuning in, like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, share this out with a fellow veteran, military service member, transitioning service member, anybody about to go through the VA disability process. Share this out with someone that I know that this conversation will help you to get through that process and maybe make it a little bit easier for you. And Chad, thank you, brother, for your service to our country. I'm glad to call you my friend, brother, battle buddy, all of that stuff, even after we've gotten out. And even though I was Army and you were Navy, but welcome, brother. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. How you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. Doing well.
Amazing. So everybody tuning in, Chad was a Navy veteran. He is a Navy veteran, served our country. Chad, what'd you do in the Navy? What was your job? What was your rate?
I was an ET, electronic technician. I was a tin can sailor and a Seavey. I was in for over 6 years.
Dude, I tell you what, I was in Afghanistan and Seabees cleared the road for us on a lot of our missions. And they are some hardworking folks, man.
Yeah, it was a treat. I enjoyed being with them, but after being in the Navy for a while and just living in a tent and stuff, I figured I'd see the real Navy and went to a ship. So I went to a small ship. And that was a tin can. Is a destroyer here in Mayport.
Cool. And is that where you ended out your service time? Was in Mayport, Jacksonville, Florida?
That's how I got to Jacksonville, Florida. Yes, got out of the Navy and got stuck. Couldn't leave.
I got you. Well, brother, seriously, really, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your service. Any service members listening, thank you for your service. Chad and I both want you to know that you matter. We want you, by the end of this video, to keep on fighting. Chad's going to kind of share a little bit of his testimony as well. And we're just going to talk about, mindset, transition, and all those things. So I want to get into it. I hate making people wait, and all suspenseful and stuff. So, Chad, I want to talk about first transition. Okay. You got out 20 plus years ago, right? When you got out, let's go to when you're in. What was the stigma if you had to go to sick call or complain? Like what was it? Was it frowned upon? Was it like you look like a dirt bag? What was it? Why you're in?
You know how it is when you in the military. Anytime you do something, everybody makes fun of you. So if you're going to see doc for everything, yeah, you'll get dogged on. So, and a lot of times when you get seen, they just give you some Motrin and go on. So we had a big we just kept 800 milligram Motrin in our shop. So this way we just self-medicate all the time.
Right. Dude, isn't that the military's best friend? Like they're of prescriptions of here's pop an ibuprofen, 800 milligram ibuprofen, Roger, Charlie Mike on, carry on, complete mission, right? Pop that 800 milligram ibuprofen. So it's frowned upon, right? Me in the Army too, it was frowned upon as well. And you look like a dirtbag and you didn't want to go in that sick call line and you didn't want to be called a sham artist or, any of that, trying to get out of any kind of duty or anything like that. But what ends up happening is that hurts us as veterans when we get out, right?
Yeah, it's a pain to go see, sick call, and takes time out where you had to go do something, and usually you just get some Motrin anyways, and everybody makes fun of you, so you just didn't do it. It just, I don't know. When I grew up, it's admitting weakness. You tough it out and go on. You don't
Yeah.
you don't complain. You just work, right. Get your work done, move on. Don't sit there and complain. So
That's a
just see it.
natural tendency for us as military members when we're on active duty or guard or reservist. And while we're in service, is you just suck it up, you deal with it. I mean, and obviously you placed the mission first. You placed you said, look, I'm willing to serve this country. But veterans, you also got to think about yourself and your disability, your VA benefits and things like that start while you're in service. And that's what I really want to focus and raise awareness on, because if we do a better job while in service and with our transition assistance programs, we'll see a lot better results for transitioning service members when they get out. So, hey, if you're an active duty, leader or service member now, or you're leading a squad or a platoon or whatever, take care of your sailors, your airmen and women, your soldiers. Make sure that they get taken care of, because there's going to be a time whenever their service comes to an end. And if they need to get those things treated later on, back, knees, neck, ankles, mental health, migraines, whatever you want to call it, that needs to be in their records. And that's the time to do it. You don't get a time to go back when you get out. It's kind of like, too bad, so sad, you didn't get it documented. How are you ever going to prove it? Right. So it starts in service, and it starts with, before a veteran gets out, they served. And if they have an honorable discharge and they did their time and, didn't get in any crazy trouble and aren't getting kicked out, and are eligible for benefits, we got to make sure people helping with the transition process and military as a whole, we got to make sure that we have the right systems and processes in place and training in place for really and truly. We got to ask ourselves, are we really helping our veterans before they get back out in the civilian society? Because they're less than 3% of this population that serve, right? So we gotta do a good job of taking care of one another. It's super important. So Chad, I want to talk to you about your transition process from, as much as you can remember, going from active duty service back into civilian life. What was that? What was it like to you? What do you think could have been better?
Well, when you just were unprepared. When I got out of the Navy, that was it. It's just you spent all that time in the Navy and you gave it all, and it's just like they couldn't get you off base quick enough. You turn in your stuff, and it's like, all right, later. And his arm will discharge, and as far as I know, all I had was a VA loan. That's all I thought I had when I left, and then being an ET, I thought jobs would be endless. Well, so I wasn't prepared. So it worked out for me, but it was, the journey was longer than I expected, and of course the transition, you lose the brotherhood. You don't have all your family, your brothers, so it's emotional journey also.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it is. It's tough. What do you think could have, looking back at it, what would you do over while you were in or before your transition? What would you do over and upon your transition, as far as VA benefits and disability goes? What would you have done better or maybe been more proactive about during that transition period?
definitely go to sick call more often, get things documented, as little as it could be, but schedule it, do it in a good time. Don't do it in the middle of the day or something. Do it early. Be considerate on it, but yeah, get stuff documented. So things happen. When you get older, there's a reason why you have those symptoms. It might be something that you experienced in the Navy or military, the Army, even. That you did. So definitely did that, and I actually did a Tiger cruise with my godson, and I shared that with the other parents. He was saying that his son smashed his hand in the rack. The rack just crushed his hand. And I said, "Well, did he go to the doc?" No, he just took some Motrin for it.
Mm-hmm.
Go to sick call for it. Get it documented.
Yeah. I remember being in and coming back after my first deployment and my left knee just buckling up. I am still not don't have anything on my left knee, and I don't know how I'll ever prove it because I sucked it up and dealt with it and still wanted to push myself to hit a 13-minute 2 mile, and it's like, dude, now I try to run and things like that or do anything like that. It's not happening because my knees, like shin splints, things like that. So, veterans, military members, transitioning service members, if you have anything right now, dude, don't wait. Go and get seen. Make sure that you go get taken care of. It's super important. You are your best advocate. I'm always, always, always going to preach that. And you know, you have that right. You also volunteered and raised your hand right now to serve this country, or you serve this country. So you said I'm willing to give my all. So, that's the least that can be done, to you too while you're on active duty, um, or in the service is get treated. And leaders, we just got to do a better job of not making people feel shamed.
And we made it. I mean, we survived our time because we could
A
have
lot of
died at
people
any
haven't,
moment. Yeah, just
and a
just
lot of
feel,
people haven't.
feel lucky that we made it. And feel that we're intact. What's
Mhm.
left? What's left of us.
Uh-huh. I agree with you because I heard somebody say once that 1 year of military life is like 2 years or more of 1 years is equivalent to like living 2 years, basically.
But you just get accustomed to it and you think it's your normal. And I guess that's a big phrase is your normal, right? My normal is different than your normal. And being in the military, I'll look at videos, you take some videos and stuff. Even back in my day, we had videos. And I mean, you just look like a shell of a person. I mean, your eyes are black. And I remember being underway and not seeing the sun for 2 weeks. I was just like, the guys had to grab me and throw me outside, because it was my normal. I got it in my routine, you tough it up and do it.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's great. So veterans, I can't stress that you can get the most evidence you can, by taking that action and saying, I am going to be proactive instead of reactive, and I'm going to um, make sure I get things documented the best that I possibly can. So let's get into, just kind of your personal journey a little bit here. Um, a lot of time was in the way, right? Like you
Yeah.
applied, got denied, but then a lot of time got in the way. So with time getting in the way, I feel like time can be one of our biggest enemies as veterans is like we didn't apply for it and 30 years have lapsed. And now we're trying to go back and prove something from 30 years ago. So let's talk a little bit about time and what do you think about that?
Yes, like you said, when I got out of the Navy, I didn't think I got anything other than a VA loan. I got out as an honorable discharge, so I just went on through my life. I got my VA loan, but then later on, in like 20 years later after I got out, I got VA medical. I didn't know I could qualify for VA medical. I
Mhm.
applied it and got it because it was just too expensive. But that was 20 years later, and then found that out. I started digging in more and more. So I went ahead and applied for disability. Went to one of these, saw some ads and stuff, and then it got denied. I think I got denied like twice for
Mhm.
one of the there's like 10 common things to claim for, and they're truly I have those symptoms and they got denied.
Yeah.
So I gave up. It's like, well, I got medical, I'm good to go, and I got on. Well, then I went to a ball game with you, and you're like, hey, I can help you out. Like, no, man, I've been out for 27 years for the Navy. It's too late, I mean, how am I going to prove it? And but you were positive and kept on. Like, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So we started that process. 27 years after I got out of the Navy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was just that encouragement. I really, man, just coming alongside and just saying, no, you should. And here's the things that you should look at. Like, what did you get denied for? And that's what it's all about is making sure that veterans that you are in the best position to get your claim together and win your claim, and to get approved, So you also, you Chad too, you took a lot of the steps that you needed to take.
Yeah.
And you also continued to document and follow up with continuation of care though. And I think in your case that absolutely helped you was you had a lot of continuation of care on up-to-date symptoms, and you also educated yourself throughout, and have learned a lot and gained a lot of knowledge as well too. But I think more importantly, you didn't give up.
Yeah, that it was challenging. So I speaking to you, and like you said, documentation. So luckily, of the 27 years when I got out, I went to this two different doctors. So I got all those records. I got my military records. So I had majority of my medical history documented, and I was able to give that to you, and you were able to put that in my packet.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the evidence of, this guy's been being treated for these things for 27 years.
Exactly. Yeah. And then your evidence was there. And that's what it's about, is making sure that the evidence is there. I think a lot of veterans just don't understand what evidence needs to be there. Like, okay, I have 20 something years of time. This has gotten in between. This has lapsed. Like, what in the world do I need to get to prove this?
Right.
They just don't understand those rating decision letters, and hey, there's favorable findings in there, so you still have a chance. You just need some up to date evidence, or maybe you need a nexus letter or a disability benefits questionnaire. And that's what we do. That's what we are here for, is to
Mm-hmm.
make sure you, the veteran, don't get screwed over, and make sure that you have all the evidence that you need to go, so that when your claim is submitted and you submit your claim and your claim is sent before an adjudicator, it is there. You understand what your personal statements are. You understand what needs to be articulated. You understand what needs to be in your packet. You understand that, like, whoa, I need to have some up to date stuff for my back or knees or neck or whatever I'm going for, right? You need to. And so, veterans, treatment, right? That's one of the ways to combat time. But still, time makes it hard. Time makes it extremely hard. And I think you had a little bit of an uphill battle because of the time, and then the time got in between. And then it was just like, okay, I don't know that I'm really qualified for this.
Well, it's overwhelming. I mean, it was like my part time job is digging through the stuff, what to do, and ask you questions, and just research, and that website's so user friendly, So it's just nonstop, and just dealing with people trying to get your records. It took 4 weeks to get my medical records from one of the health providers. I mean, it's just they couldn't. I just end up going to the office and asking for a CD. So
Yeah.
it's a constant thing, and then like I mentioned earlier, my normal, like during this journey, I discovered my normal's not normal.
Mhm.
The things that I deal with aren't normal, and you research and look into it and this and that, and now you're 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 identifying that, hey, I shouldn't cough, or I shouldn't have to limp, my back shouldn't hurt, or whatever your symptoms are. And it really, it took a toll on me. I'm outside my comfort zone. I'm battling these people. I'm trying to figure out stuff out, figure stuff out. So you just want to give up. You really want to give up, and it's like, I don't deserve it. It's been 27 years. Who cares, but
Mhm.
that's just not me. I'll be mad, but continue on, and bug you. You need to find people to help you and just give you some motivation, and put, motivate
Yeah,
you.
yeah, exactly, brother. And that's what it's about, is that absolutely the motivation, the positivity, the encouragement, because that's tough when you have a family, when bills don't stop, time waits on no one, things don't stop, electric bills don't stop, life doesn't stop,
Yeah.
needs don't stop, and yet you got to figure out, these things. And it's like, man, see, it goes back to my first point, or to my earlier point rather. If we get the help that we need while we are in the service, and there are better transition assistance programs, you know, then, and like, I'm saying that truly want to help, not just
Hmm.
putting together an agenda and check some blocks and make sure Chad did up his so-called, we call it resume, and gave him a Coca-Cola and told him goodbye and thank you, and a DD-214 with missing administrative errors on it, like it's what's happening. And it's still happening in 2024. We have veterans that we should be ashamed that we have veterans out here that can't start their transition to life because they don't have the doggone, because their DD-214 got jacked up, or because the evident or there was an error not on their part that's out of their control and they can't apply for GI Bill benefits, or somebody's asking for their DD-214 and they don't have that. Like, that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable to the men and women that serve this country, and we have to do a better job of taking care of each other, and that time, I think, made it hard for you, brother. It did. But again, you kept going, you kept fighting, you didn't give up, and it took a little bit to reel you in a little bit, but you did it. You did it. You did it. And you took action. And it was like, okay, look, if you're even going to give yourself or put yourself in the best position, you got to have these records. These are the things that need to be here. You need to articulate what happened. And you did that. You did that along the way. And then you also dug deep and you educated yourself on things and started learning more, and have now turned that into what I love, saying, dude, you know what? I'm going to take what I've learned and I'm going to pay it forward to a veteran.
Yeah. Yeah. My shipmates, I had my wife and I had you, I thought you were crazy. No, man, I can get you 30%. I can get you this much. And no, man, you're crazy. Then I started thinking about, hey, I could, but end up get a high rating and I'm able to provide some stuff my kids and my wife that I didn't think I could provide. I mean,
yeah, that's the thing to recognize too, is that even military leaders and transitioning service members, veterans, this affects your family too. It's not just you, but like your kids and all that different stuff. There are benefits and things that can help you, rightfully so, so get what you deserve and don't give up. If you give up, you're just going to start back at square one where you're at. And it's like, you started for a reason. Remember that.
Yeah.
I think the system's designed just to make us want to give up.
Yeah.
It stinks, because if it wasn't, why is there so many gray areas? Why is there not better transition assistance programs? It's not. It's lopsided, and I just feel like we got to do a better job. I'm not here to bash. I'm very thankful for our benefits and all that stuff. I really am. I'm thankful for my time in the military. I'm thankful for all of it. It's really made me and grown me as a man. However, there's just so much that I see looking back that I'm like, man, these systems in place need to be put in better, veterans need to be put in better positions, and we need to tell veterans the whole truth, nothing but the truth. There doesn't need to be these gray areas and all these hoops that we got to jump through, because the fact is that we have 22 veterans committing suicide a day and people going to alcohol and drugs. And we can get into that in a whole nother episode, but a lot of sadness going on. And part of that's why.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like there was a stigma against you if you look back when you transitioned out from the Navy? Because I did. Do you feel like you've ever been vetted, or somebody people look at sometimes military members unintentionally, or veterans, of like, are you that guy with PTSD? Like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Or did you kill? I've been in an airport and somebody's asked me if I've killed somebody and stuff. And it's like, whoa, like, how are you doing? I don't even know your name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, while I was in the Navy, I tried to hide it, I got out of the Navy. I didn't tell anybody, just, it's something I didn't really advertise, now I'm proud of it. I share it, I wear the U.S. Navy t-shirts and whatever, but yeah, it's just you're more confident in yourself, and the journey, you're proud of who you were. And I served my country, and, and then like once I got my benefits, I felt guilty of getting my benefits,
Really?
Yeah. It's just like, did I deserve this?
Like guilty, like, do you really deserve it? Was that what you were thinking?
Yeah. Cause it's like, like you, the whole time in, you don't go medical call or sick call, cause you feel like you're emitting weakness. And then, so you don't go in, and then you get out and you end up giving compensation for disability for things that you you inflicted, and then you feel guilty once you win, a disability claim. But I mean, it's not like I didn't made it up. I got 27 years of history of it, and I had doctors that proved it, right? So, but you just, it almost feels like a handout, right? Because I want to earn my money, I feel like, work hard for things, and that's why you didn't go to sick hall. But now I just look as a blessing, that I can provide my family and do things with,
Yeah. Also, we don't realize as veterans and stuff, we don't realize how much is impacted. And you don't realize a year or two goes down the line, even me being out just not too long, the things that have happened, like for the past 2 days, my back's been completely jacked up and stuff like that. And really, you don't realize the limitations as well too,
it's your
right?
normal.
Right. It's your normal, but then veterans, if you're listening to this, or if you're getting out, or if you're still in, when you get out, what jobs are you going to be limited to as well? Because you have to realize when you transition into the civilian life, that BAH, that COLA, those like nice little benefits that you don't think about that just keep coming on the regular every month, that additional 2 grand or 3 grand of BAH, depending on where you're stationed at across this world, those things stop.
Yeah.
And the reality kicks in that you need to come up with this amount of money for an apartment or home and down payment and everything else. But then you got to ask yourself, what jobs am I limited to? Like, am I going to go be a warehouse worker, or are you a mechanic right now in the military? You don't know if you're going to get hurt. And then are you going to be able to do that mechanic work? Not everybody's admin, not everybody's IT, not everybody sits behind a computer. Not everybody can talk to people. Not everybody wants to talk to people. So, like veterans, you got to think about that because this is replacement income.
Mm-hmm.
Disability income, I always say it like this. If you retire, if you have an injury significant enough and you get a medical evaluation board and a PB and you get over that 30% rating coming out of DOD, you get medically retired, right? If you do your time, your 20 years, or if they lower standards and it's a 15-year, you get retired, right? The VA disability, you get it because an injury occurred due to your duties, due to your time while in, something happened, right? And it's replacement income. You got to look at it that I got to make time up, or I got to replace income because I got to take time out and I got to go get my medical records now because it's taken 5 weeks and I'm like, screw this. I'm going to I got to go get my medical records out. Hey, boss, can I punch off the clock? I got to let you know I got to be gone for 4 hours a day and drive through Duval County or Jacksonville traffic to get over there, which is going to take me about 3 hours. So, as a matter of fact, I got to take off the whole day. Well, okay, no problem, but you're going to lose that pay.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? It's replacement income because if you got to go for physical therapy appointments and psychology appointments and this and that and whatever else you have going on, it can become a lot, right? And it's covering down on how about your wear and tear? Whose gas paid for you to go across town to go do that? Well, whose tires? Whose car? Whose engine cranked? Yours. And every time you crank it, every time you go, veterans, that's you're paying for that due to a injury that occurred while you were in service to this country. So get taken care of. You deserve it. The mindset, you deserve it. Don't give up.
Right.
Find out what you need to do. Find out, we'll get into this in later videos, but find out what are subjective claims and what are objective claims, right? We can get into that in a latter video, but subjective and objective, hey, were you around loud noises? You may qualify for tinnitus. That may be an in or a start on something. Obviously, unless the VA is going to be doing away with tinnitus, maybe, I don't know. We'll find out and see if that comes to fruition. However, there's things that you can do. Reach out, get the help. Don't stop. There's a lot of information, education, and resources out here. Make sure that you educate yourself. You can find it. There's some good other YouTube channels and things out here as well. But let's talk about mindset. Veterans talk about this a lot. I don't deserve this. I don't want to take away from Chad, and Chad doesn't want to take away from, Bobby, and Bobby doesn't want to take away from Joey. Like, what's up with this mindset here? Like, let's talk about that a little bit. Like, maybe the shifting of perspective that we need to have as veterans. What do you think? Did you have that mind?
Yeah, I did. So just the frustration and trying to get it, then you get it, then you feel guilty. I
Mhm.
felt really guilty. I mean, I was super excited when I won my claim, and it ended up getting my higher disability rating than I thought I would ever get. And then I realized how much money I was going to get in a month. And it's just like, wow, do I deserve this? So so of course go to YouTube and talk to people and stuff. But I didn't. You feel like an ambulance chaser, right? Like I sued someone for some neck. You see on TV a neck injury or something. But no, this, like I said, these are things I had my normal for the past 27 years,
Yeah.
and I deserve it. Like I sacrificed my life for the military.
Yeah.
For the U.S. and this is what's left of me. This is all I get. And I didn't make this
Mhm.
up. I didn't go in there with some bogus stuff. I had doctors and X-rays and man, and just that journey, the CMP exams, and I don't know how many times I went and got examined and stuff. So it's not like I made it up.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I mean, it's just I didn't make it up, and they said I deserve it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you know,
and what you did is you got the evidence. You got
yeah,
the evidence, and you took control, and honestly, like, you were your best advocate because you took the time to get the stuff that nobody else could get too. Like, nobody else could get that. Like, you were guided, you're given some education on things, but you went and you did it, and you took that initiative. So, that's the main thing.
it's life changing, and if it so some people or you can do something with it. Maybe I don't need it or something, so do something with it. Give it to a nonprofit, give it to church. You can choose what to do with it. It's
Mhm.
your money that you earn.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
can.
and also you gotta think about when you get older as well too. um, as well. Like, this is, things that you have earned and deserve, and also how's your body going to react? You don't know, but as time goes, things get harder, things get more difficult, and all that stuff. And it just does. The reality of it is you do end up, fighting a uphill battle.
And some people have to get a disability rating to get VA medical.
Oh, I know.
Like if you're not a high enough priority group, you have to get a rating to get that. Because I know people got disapproved on that. So if they had 30%, they can get VA medical. And then with my rating, my copays are gone.
Mhm.
I just so like you said, and I'm going to need it more and more as I get older. So and with anything with the U.S. government, nothing's quick. So do it now. Do it now for you really do it now.
Absolutely, and we have to realize that, like, you do deserve the benefits that you've earned, and you served this country rightfully so. There's a difference between minimizing and lying. Lying is saying something happened and it never happened. Lying is stolen valor. Lying is that.
Mm-hmm.
Minimizing is saying something is a one, and when you're missing work 3 days out of a 30-day period and it's becoming
Yeah.
a major problem, and it's an eight and you can't get out of bed and stuff like that, like, that's a major problem. Or your headaches are having you to shut everything down and you're having to go in a dark room and just chill. And you're like, boss, work, coworkers, family, or your mood is getting in the way and interfering with your relationships and life and quality of life.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
you got to take care of yourself. You got to be proactive and think about those things. So, veterans, military members, transitioning service members, you do, because you're less than 3% of this population of this country that served. And if we didn't have each other, and we can go back to World War II and many generations and Vietnam and everything, if we didn't have that, then we'd have open borders, and we wouldn't have a lot of the freedoms and things that we do have in this country. And I tell you what, I'm very grateful for a lot of the things that we have: freedom of speech, freedom of things. I get some things. We live in a cancel culture, but we have a lot more freedoms than they do in a lot of other countries. Go visit Afghanistan. Go to some of these
Yeah.
countries where you better be quiet and a woman don't come out until it's nighttime or something. It's happening today in 2024.
But you're saying that, but until now the content's more available, right? When I got out of the Navy, there's no content. There was, YouTube wasn't as big and stuff, but the content's so more available to educate veterans and
You're so right. Yep. Yeah,
people
there
like
are
you
more.
creating these videos.
Yeah, there's more resources available. Veterans, you just got to get out there and research. Yeah, with YouTube, man, you can get on and learn anything. You spend enough time, you'll learn. You'll learn a lot. Seriously, you just really will, and you can learn a lot from this channel here. By this conversation today, Chad and I really hope that this gives you motivation and the grit to keep going and understand that you do deserve this. You're not taken away from anybody. There's a allotted budget. We're not telling you to go lie. And like he said, he didn't. His evidence was his evidence. He went. He presented the evidence that he had. He got denied. He kept fighting. He presented the right evidence. He asked questions. The right evidence was presented. Right, that only he could get. If that evidence wasn't there, he wouldn't, you wouldn't be whatever position you're in today with your benefits, but you did. And now now you're in a better position where you were before. And now you can get care, prescriptions, medical care coverage, things like that for you and your family that you wouldn't have been able to get if you gave up.
Yeah, it was a long journey, but it's worth it. And it's not an easy journey, but it's worth it. Just look at the end game, but you just have the right support system, and
Mhm.
that's why I reach out to my shipmates and ask them and people like you that motivate you and make things impossible. Because
Yeah.
God puts the right people in your life, and you can accomplish things. It's just God's going to give you what you need.
I agree with you, brother. I agree. I'm very, very thankful for you. I want to thank you for your time today and talking about this. I hope if you're listening that this gives you encouragement and definitely in both of our lives, the Lord has really blessed us and I'm very thankful and I'm thankful to call you friend. And really, we've gotten out and I look forward to just doing life and things like that together. And I'm so happy for you because you serve this country and you deserve it. It makes my heart warm. But what is something that you'd like to leave a veteran with, or transitioning service member, or active duty military member, or whatever that's in the service now? Is there anything, wisdom, or anything that you can't stress, like that you want to make sure that they know?
Just have everything documented. It's worth it. It's a challenging journey. It created anxiety for me. Things are, your normal is not the same person's normal, and you deserve it. You serve the country, and just do it. And there's people out there to help you, and Blake's
Hmm.
one of them. He's going to inform you and have everything documented and prepared for them. Print everything out.
Hmm.
If you hand it to them and you make their job easier, they're going to put you in front of the line and get your stuff approved. So I
Yeah,
think that's what helped me out, because you had everything. You went through and researched everything, and then I printed it out and had it, had everything marked, everything where they could did their job for them, and then they
yeah.
could verify everything with the PDFs and all the medical records that they have. Everything matches up.
That's the biggest thing, is making sure that you don't throw up a bogus claim, is
Yeah,
saying, no, be patient, go get these. And that's what it is. It's the direction, and people just don't get it. They just don't get that help. And we got to do a better job. We need more trained people.
yeah,
And we really need to help out. I mean, but it's just the truth. And it's really hard to find good, honest help too.
yeah.
It's tough. I'm telling you, so many people need help. I'm sure people listening need help, and it's tough. And another unfortunate thing with the whole VA system as a whole and everything is, it's bogged down. A lot of systems have been replaced, and the way they did things, they're working on them, but some of them are broken. They're trying to improve them, um, and things. So it's tough. It's tough. It's not easy. It's a you got to stay in the fight. I hate that we got to keep fighting this hard, but veterans, we got to help each other. You're your best advocate and stuff. But Chad, I just want to thank you, man, for your time, um, stepping away from your family, and just giving encouragement. I really hope that this video helps you out if you're tuning in and listening. And Chad, more importantly, just thank you for your service, man. Thank you for your time. You are a piece of the puzzle of what this country is because of your selfless service to our country. And anybody who I come in contact with that served, myself included, I'm very appreciative, very, very thankful, and thankful for you, brother. And I can't say that enough, man. And anybody listening, if you served to Chad, to myself, you matter. You're more than just a number. You're a human being, a soul, a service member. You serve this country. Get what you deserve. Thank you for tuning in today. Like, subscribe, comment to the channel. I hope there's a lot of informational videos that are going to be coming and coming. And trust me, you'll be able to go through them, interviews with doctors and how to handle CMP exams and, statements, all of those things that need to go into your packets to put you in the best position to win. Again, we're here, talking to you. We don't guarantee nothing. Nobody can guarantee anything, but you, the veteran, are your best advocate. You, the veteran, get and document as much evidence as you can to put yourself in the best position to get the benefits, resources, and everything that you deserve. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. Chad, thank you for being with us today, brother. I appreciate you so much. And I hope that you got something out of this. Again, like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell, share this out with a friend if you think that this can help them. We are veterans, serving veterans, helping educate veterans. You matter. Your life is worth it. If you need anything or you need a community to get involved with, every Wednesday, I want to remind you before I get off, there's the Unity Hour. It's all about coming together as helping one another. Even if you're out, you can pick up a phone. The link will be in the description of this video. You can hop on and join our Unity Hour, and we give encouragement. We're uplifting, positive, and that's what we want to do. So thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we are out.